Freedom is not free. Discover what it takes. It's time to tap and move forward.
Hello and welcome to Tap and Move Forward. I'm your host, Lynn Shelley. Today we have Michael Miller, who served a total of 30 years in the Army National Guard. Throughout his career, he worked hard and worked his way into the state senior enlisted leader of both the Utah Air and Army National Guard. He has a very important message on character and what it takes to find success in life and career. Here's the interview with Michael Miller. Why did you join the military and how old were you?
I joined the military. It had been in my family. My dad was a career officer in the Utah Guard, so I'd grown up with it my whole life, and I actually couldn't wait to join. They used to call me Michael Army Guard Miller when I was growing up as a little kid. So at 17, when I was old enough, I joined, and my dad swore me in, and the long-awaited time to get in was finally there, and 17 years old, I joined.
Did you know what career field you were going into?
I didn't. My dad and mom never forced the military on any of us. However, when I finally signed up, he forced the occupation I went into because it had the biggest bonus, and told me when I got home after that, you can go and do what you want after, but get the money first, and then you can decide on what you want to do the rest of your life.
So what was your first career?
So my first career was I was a truck driver. They called it 88 Mike, heavy transport operator. I did that, came home, and I transferred into the field artillery down in Cedar City, commonly known as the Triple Deuce, the 222nd Field Artillery Battalion out of Cedar City, Utah, and with batteries throughout southern Utah.
Did you find that you ran into any surprises when you joined the military?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of surprises. If you don't like what's going on today, you just wait till tomorrow. It'll change. So I learned early as a young soldier that I had to be adaptive. I had to be able to be flexible, and I had to be able to go with the changes and look at them in a positive aspect rather than the negative, which brought up looking at other people, senior leaders, that how they reacted and how they went forth and continued to do great things. I tried to emulate what they did and how they were receptive to it and made it a positive rather than a negative.
Were there times that you struggled to keep that mindset?
Yeah, so I was only a traditional, what they call a traditional soldier or airman, which back in those old days, it was 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. I was only a traditional soldier for about 1 year. And then I went active Guard Reserve, which is AGR. It's active duty for Guard and Reserve. And I was fortunate enough to get hired as an E4. And I had to change my duty position again from fire direction, the howitzers, to logistics supply. And I had done that for a number of years. I was AGR for about 12 years. And into my career, my boss, one of my giants that I often talk about, one of the mentors and that made me who I am and why I'm successful, he got really sick, and he had to medically retire. And I had been doing his job, or helping do his job with one of my associates, and his job came open, and I put in for the position. I didn't expect to get the job, but I thought I was one of the most qualified. And unfortunately, in a small organization, you have what they call politics. And because of politics, the hiring supervisor didn't hire me. And I got very frustrated. And I honestly, think it was 11 years in my career, I was going to quit the Utah Guard, quit the United States Army, and go do other things.
What made you change your mind?
Again, that same individual that had medically retired, he called me and talked to me along with my dad and a brother and some other associates and said, hey, you don't know what's ahead of you today because of the negativity that you've been dealt, but this happened for a reason. Just continue to do what you're doing, do the best you can do, and the future will change to how you act today, and it'll be a positive change, and it'll be good. And try to see the positive in this, learn from this experience, and then make it something that you can pass on to others. And down the road, you'll understand why you did not get this job. Ironically, it was about 10 years later, I knew exactly it hit me bigger than a truck. I was offered a first sergeant position when I was downrange in Iraq, which I'd always wanted to do. And when I got promoted and pinned, I was able to look back at that experience and say they were right. Yeah, it was negative at the time. I felt bad. I felt bad for myself, but they were trying to get me to see past myself, and it's an organization, and I'm just a small element to the success of that organization. And I was so grateful at the time that I had key leaders then help me through that process. And I knew exactly why I didn't get that job, because I wouldn't be afforded the opportunity then what I was had I got it.
So eventually you ended up in a position you preferred even more?
It actually, my career went on. I was very blessed, and I couldn't have called for a better career than what happened. I was very fortunate that it happened when it happened and how it happened, because I was able to learn from it. And then, I committed myself to be just like those leaders that I was around at the time, and be able to mentor and develop others that may have some of the same experience as me, help them develop in their careers too.
So you deployed then, you mentioned Iraq. Did you deploy more than once?
I deployed twice, 3 times if you call the Winter Olympics in 2002. I lived in a janitor's closet up in a hospital in Salt Lake City in 33rd South
for the Winter Olympics?
About 3 or 4 months,
Oh, wow.
And then we deployed in 03, 04. We were deploying to go to Iraq with our howitzers for the field artillery, and we trained for 2 months in Fort Carson, and they remissioned us. And they didn't send us overseas. They sent us to Fort Lewis, Washington to train ROTC cadets doing their last requirement before they commission as an officer. We did that for about 6 months and then came home. About a year later, we got alerted again, and I was deployed for 18 months, 6 months stateside preparing for a mission, and then we spent 12 months in Ramadi, Iraq. I served first as the Master Gunner / Battalion Operations Sergeant for the battalion, Triple Deuce Battalion. And later I was assigned as a First Sergeant of Alpha Battery, 222nd Field Artillery. I did that for 10 months.
How did you enjoy the deployed experience?
It was a challenge. As an operations sergeant, we were managing 5 units that were preparing to go to war. You had a lot of emotion, a lot of anxiety. You had some challenges, but we were able to build as a team. We had strong cohesion, And then we get into country, and we're split into numerous units with numerous assignments, and being able to keep track of all that, and coordinate all the resources, their manning and so forth. It was very good, but we had a phenomenal team, and we did it together. And then I was fortunate to go become a first sergeant, which narrowed my scope but expanded it. I was responsible with my commander for about 105 soldiers. You become a clergy, you become a counselor, financial, whatever it may be. You're there for your soldiers. The famous words that me and the commander always used to talk about is, "Do you got a minute?" Because that's what our soldiers would ask us. They'd say, "Top, you got a minute?" Yeah, and that minute would turn into an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But yeah, we always had a minute. But it was good, and I have to give kudos to that battery, because we came home and we were recognized as the best field artillery unit in the United States Army and won the Hamilton Award.
Wow. How did you deal with stress while you were deployed?
Stress while deployed is a little different. One, I did it through physical fitness. I always tried to work out and tried to release stress through physical activity. I also found those individuals that I could rely on, that I could talk to and relieve some of that stress, and we found solutions together. I always tried to surround myself with positive people, those that could turn a negative and see the positive in it and how we can overcome it together. And I never had to do anything individually. We're stronger together than we are as one. And that's some of the ways that I released. And I also tried to stay busy, keep my mind away from home, and keep my mind away from the negative that we had to deal with, just because of the situation and the location we were in. That was pretty dangerous all the time, but I tried to keep my mind somewhere else, looking past today, past tomorrow.
What's your definition of failure, and how did you deal with that in your military experience?
My definition of failure, I don't think you ever fail. You may not get the results that you wanted, but I looked at it as an opportunity that I didn't achieve what I wanted, but how can I learn from it and overcome it in the future? And how do I build upon it? So one, it doesn't happen again, and two, I can help others, and three, how can we do better together?
If you could go back to yourself as a new enlistee, what one piece of advice would you give yourself?
I would try to train my body to wake up early. I still struggle. I hate mornings. And the Army, or the military, because the last 5 years of my career, I was both Army and Air. They called us Purple. It didn't matter. They still like to wake up early and do things before. We do more before 9 o'clock. Most people do all day. I was not a morning person, so I'd retrain myself to be able to get up in the morning and be a functioning leader.
It can be a really hard one. I agree. What do you consider your greatest military accomplishment or your most meaningful experience in your career, and why?
Probably my most meaningful experience, and it goes along with my accomplishment, is being selected as the state of Utah senior enlisted leader. The adjutant general for Utah selected me to be his senior non-commissioned officer for the state. It was very humbling, but wow, what an experience it was. I did it for 5 years, and just the caliber of soldiers and airmen I got to deal with on a daily basis, I still get choked up thinking about it. But it was very humbling. It was a great opportunity, and I'll always cherish the experiences I had in that position and the opportunities I had both locally and nationally to make an impact that that had positive effects on our future and who's going to take over for me, for others when we leave, and be able to set them up for success and give them an opportunity to be that next generation, that next leader that they're very capable of being.
Other than the experience you mentioned earlier, what other mindsets or experiences led you to become the leader that you were?
I think I often, in my last position, I talked about giants. You know, I would stand there in front of them, giving a briefing or giving them giving a talk or whatever it may be, and I would tell them I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for a number of individuals that took the time to help me develop, help mentor me, help develop me, and took the time necessary. They were just as busy, or if not, they were just as busy, if not busier, but yet they seen something in me that they wanted to help me develop as a soldier, develop as a leader, but more importantly, develop a leader that cares. I tried to emulate that in my last position. I wanted to give back I didn't want to be a giant, because a giant is somebody that you'll always look up to. You'll always remember, and you'll always be grateful of what they did. And I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to serve in the positions I served at had it not been for those giants. But I always talked about, try to be that giant to not only yourself, but to those around you, because once you provide that opportunity to those around you, together there's nothing you can't accomplish. Because that team that you're going to bond, and the cohesion, there's nothing the team can't overcome.
Do you feel like you had to strategically position yourself to get to the leadership role you attained? It doesn't matter what position you serve in, what branch you serve in. It takes hard work, it takes dedication, and it takes character. You never compromise your character. And as long as you give 100%, good things will happen. I always used to tell soldiers and airmen, because I dealt with the promotion system in both branches in my last position, and there was a lot of frustration when people thought that they should have got promoted. And in some cases, it's very real. But I used to tell them, I can't promote you. If I could, I probably would, but I can't. But I can tell you, the minute you stop worrying about being promoted and doing what you're supposed to, when you're supposed to, and how you're supposed to, that promotion will shock you, and it'll come when it's supposed to, and it'll come when it's less expected. So I tell you, don't worry about promotions. Do what you're supposed to, when you're supposed to, and how you're supposed to. Promotions will always come. If you could give one piece of advice to a newly enlisted member, what would it be?
I would tell you to learn about the implied and learn about the specified, and be able to deliver at both levels. There's going to be specific things throughout your career that the military is going to tell you how to do it, when to do it, and how to do it. However, the implied is the critical, and what's going to separate you from your peers. Being able to execute the implied is very difficult. But once you master it, you're going to be that next generation leader that's going to separate yourselves from others. So deliver the specified, but be able to understand and know and deliver the implied. If I, as a leader, have to tell you everything to do and when to do it and how to do it, it's wasting a lot of time. But if I can tell you specific things, very generic, and you have the ability to deliver, that means you get the implied, and you're going to be a pretty phenomenal leader, pretty phenomenal airman.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Implied?
The Implied, so if I tell you that in the wartime, I need you to go guard, whether it's a weapons cache or anything. I'm gonna give you the warning order, give you all the operations order. I'm gonna give you all that specifics, but I shouldn't have to go step by step of all the requirements to you as a leader to be able to execute the mission to the fullest extent. For instance, the Implied is, I need to have food and rations. I need to be prepared for weather. I need to be prepared for ammunition. I need to be prepared for all those different things that an operation order necessarily is going to tell you, and it won't be vetted out. But I, as a leader, know I need to think about these other different things that goes along with it, and that's the Implied.
So noticing the bigger picture, or thinking about what might happen or what could go wrong, and not just...
And being prepared. And I also say, no, there's 3 different levels. There's a tactical level, there's an operation level, and there's a strategic level that we operate within the military domain. And it goes along with the implied and the specified. You as a leader, as you grow up, most of your junior enlisted, they're going to operate at the tactical level. And then as you grow up, E6, E7, you're at the operational level. And then E21, you need to operate at the strategic level, looking beyond your unit, beyond your state, beyond your wing, whatever it may be, operate at a bigger level. But the Implied goes along with that. If I'm a strategic leader, I not only need to be able to deliver and execute at the tactical level, I've got to have full flexibility between those 3 and be able to deliver. My soldiers, my airmen, are going to watch me too. I can't just bark out orders and tell you what you should do and how to do it if I don't know how to do it myself. It's leading by example, and to be able to operate within those 3 domains in the Implied environment, not having to be told everything to do.
Are there any books, documentaries, or historical figures that have been influential to you or your career, your life?
I don't think I could read it. I had books on tape. They had to be on tape. I can't read. No. There's a number of leaders that they don't have a national presence. I always tried to emulate those leaders that I was drawn to. They were all local. I had a chief warrant officer, Mr. Daly, that was one of my giants. And Larry Hansen was one of my NCOs. My dad was one of my mentors, one of my examples. My older brother was another. And those are the individuals that I was drawn to and I looked up to. As far as books, I read the books. I can't recall them. Reading, you can't go wrong by reading history because you're always going to learn from history. And so as long as you have a book or even read or a book on tape, whatever it may be, you can always learn from them and find something within them to help you personally that'll help the team collectively.
It sounds like it was more important to you to have mentors close to you.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, I learned from the books. I learned from the trainings, but I tried to learn from those that have been down the path that I was going, and they were successful, and I tried to emulate their actions, their character, and tried to somewhat, if you would, be like them.
Were there times that you would seek out mentorship, or did it just find you?
A lot of times it found me. Growing up, as I progressed in rank, I seeked it, but at the same time, I tried to always create partnerships or relationships with others. And I think through that process, think it brought out that mentorship and my willingness to learn from them and their willingness to help me develop. So I think it was mutual. I looked for it, but at the same time, I think once we build a relationship and built a trust between me and my supervisors or me and my subordinates or peers, it created an openness that we shared dialogue with one another.
It sounds like building a relationship with the people around you was really important to you.
It was. I tried especially in my last position as a senior enlisted leader, I tried to build a relationship with a clear understanding of boundaries. There were boundaries that were created by rank, unfortunately, but I tried to have an open door policy, and it always mattered to me what that airman or what that soldier was thinking. They have phenomenal ideas. They have phenomenal ways that we could probably do it cheaper, faster, smarter. They're innovative. They're creative. And I always tried to create a relationship that created an opportunity for us to dialogue back and forth without the barriers of rank. Of course, we set the boundaries and they respected them. But I always tried to be open in that aspect and get their input, because it's just going to make us stronger together. And I think one of the best individuals that taught me that was our Adjutant General, General Burton. He had full trust in me and always had my back, and he always was fully supportive of what we're doing in the NCO Corps, and I think that allowed us that opportunity to go full spectrum from the top all the way to the bottom, and we assembled teams to come up. How do we do it? How can we do it better? What are we doing now? What can we do tomorrow? And that openness created opportunity for dialogue and for us to become better and more and stronger as a team, both individually and collectively.
Are there behaviors or skill sets that you learned in the military that have impacted you in your life?
Behaviors, it will take you a lifetime to build trust, but it'll only take a second to lose it. I had my dad and my grandpa taught me that. So I always tried to live within the 3 Air Force values and the 7 Army values, and carry them into my personal life. You don't have to be a religious individual, but those core values are there. They're battle tested. They're very important, and the most important one to me is character. You can never compromise your character, otherwise it'll come back. I like to say karma. Do the right thing even when no one's watching.
Is that what character means to you?
It is. Doing the right thing in any situation. Lead from your heart. Lead with conviction. And do what's in best interest of not only yourself and your family, but what you think of your organization and how it's going to represent those that you serve with.
If you could give the new enlistees one superpower or skill set to help them with their career and the future of the military, what would it be?
The Iceman, that's what I'd give them. Become the Iceman so you could freeze what's going on around you, because it goes so fast. You're going to be an airman today, and you're going to look back in 10 years and ask where that 10 years went. If you could freeze it and bottle it up, because now I'm just the old guy that's on the outside that wishes he could still wear that uniform every day. So I would make you that superpower of the Iceman, so you could freeze it in place and always cherish it. But I have to tell you, that last statement I made, cherish it. Live today, but also recognize how important it is to remember today and throughout your career, because it's going to go fast. And cherish it and live for the opportunity to keep learning, keep doing good things, keep getting promoted, keep providing for your organization. But remember, there will be a time in your life when you have to hang up that uniform, and you'll always look back and you'll cherish every opportunity you had to serve with your comrades, your best friends, your team, and your unit. And it'll be such a great experience. So cherish the time you do have. Yeah, it might be hard at the moment. It might be hot. It might be cold. Whatever it is. But guess what? After you look back at it, you can learn from it. And you'll always have a positive outlook on it. And it'll be an opportunity that someday when you're my age, I wish I was still doing that. But it'll be a great experience. It'll go by fast. But cherish your opportunity that you have right now.
Are there any stories that you like to tell about from your military experience? No?
I don't know. Like what? So, yeah, I would like to. Something I was very grateful for as a senior enlisted leader, in the Army side, we had done what they call a best warrior competition. Mm-hmm. And I tried for a number of years getting some of the command chiefs within the Air Guard to provide competitors from the air to compete with the Army. And in my last year in command, we did it either year before, but my last year in command, the Air Force, the Air Guard, they'd been training for it and they'd been ready. And we set the competition up where it was universal, that you didn't have to be, it wasn't specific to the Air or the Army. They were all specific tasks that were requirements of any airman or any soldier. And I can tell you, my last best warrior competition, I got to stand up on the stage and announce the winners from the junior enlisted, which was E1 to E6, the senior enlisted E7, E8, and as we read the junior enlisted, it was a airman, a female airman.
Yes.
And she not only won, but it wasn't even close. And I was very proud, very honored for her, because she's a remarkable airman.
Kelly Sessions.
Yes. Kelly.
I've been working on getting her on the podcast.
And I was very, very happy for her. Not only did she set a new mark, but she encouraged the other airmen. Anything's possible with hard work and dedication. And she put forth that. And as we tallied up the scores, it wasn't even close. She smoked them all. So that little security forces airman is, I'll always remember giving her the mask of honor of her winning the best warrior competition for the Utah National Guard, my last one.
I was very proud when I heard that. I'm very proud of her. She made me proud
awesome.
That she represented the Air Guard.
She did so good.
How do you respond when people tell you thank you for your service?
I thank them for the opportunity that I had to be in the military. We'd go out in the public, or the TAG and I flew around the world often to go visit airmen and soldiers, and we'd have a number of people talk to us and thank us. But yet, we would thank them because they actually paid us money to get to do what we did every day, which was very humbling. For them to pay us to do what we wanted to do, wake up every morning with a smile on your face to go serve alongside some of the best human beings this world can offer along with a service member. So I thank them for the opportunity I had to be on a team that was unmatched anywhere in the world.
To you, what are the most important aspects of leadership?
I said it before, probably character, example, and leading from the front. Don't be a leader of do as I say, not as I do. If you're going to have your soldiers do something, you better be willing to do what you're asking them to do. So lead from the front. I'll constantly set the example. You never know if you're flirting with danger, somebody's going to watch, and you're going to slip, and it'll have devastation not only on you individually, but your team as the team collectively. It'll have negative. It will have negative aspects on the team, and it's not fair when you're not leading by example and with character.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to a group of new enlistees?
Welcome to the United States Air Force. I think you made the best decision this far in your young life. All you got to do now is look forward. It's going to be hard, but it'll be rewarding, and you're going to be on the best team that you'll never find a better team and a better set of teammates than you will in the United States military. Treasure the opportunity, cherish the opportunity you're going to have. Remember to go to bed with a smile on your face, even though it was one of the hardest days you've ever had. Smile, because when you wake up, it's about a new day and what you can contribute to the team to make them even better.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate getting to document a little piece of your
Hopefully it wasn't too boring.
insight. I think it was really great. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found a new mindset to help you excel. I really liked when he talked about how your actions today create what your future will be. If you want to start a better career or life, what action can you start or work on today that will put you on a better trajectory towards what you want to accomplish? For more information on Michael Miller or to share your thoughts on this episode, please visit www.tamfpodcast.com/CSM.